Hi there, everybody. My name's Joe, and this tutorial on ZBrush is really for beginners. It's really meant for somebody who's completely new to ZBrush, and it's meant to make it as easy as possible for you to start using ZBrush with little complication. When you first launch ZBrush, the first thing you'll see is this project window. Now, this project window will give you access to some quick default settings so you can start modeling and sculpting in ZBrush right away. The project window is activated with a comma key, so you can toggle it by hitting comma, and then you can bring it back. So if you never see it there, you can hit comma, it brings it into view, and if you want to get rid of it, you can hit comma to get rid of it. Now, to get started, I'm going to pick one of these spheres that you see here. You see a couple spheres. They're called Dynamesh Spheres, and I'm going to click on this last one here. So it doesn't matter which one you click on to start off with. Let's just click on one of these spheres in the project window. Once you click on that sphere, the project window will go away, and then you can get started. So what you're going to see is the sphere in the middle of the screen and a grid. Now, to navigate around, you can basically just click on your screen here or your tablet, or just click your mouse button, and just clicking or left clicking on the mouse button is going to let you rotate. If you click and hold down the Alt key, you can pan, so that's moving back and forth, up and down. And then once you release the Alt key, you can zoom in and out. So that's how we navigate. If you're on a Mac, instead of using the Alt key, you'll use the Command key. So let me repeat that, because that's one of the most difficult things for beginners to understand, is how to navigate and actually look around the model as you are working on that model. And when I say model, I mean the sphere that we created when we clicked on that sphere icon in the project window. So once again, if you're using a pen tool on a tablet, you can just click and rotate, or if you're using a mouse, you can left click and just rotate around. If you want to move the sphere, click and hit Alt or Command, and then if you want to scale, you lift your finger off the Alt key on the keyboard, or the Command key if you're on a Mac. You keep your left mouse button pressed down, or if you're using a pen, just keep it on the tablet, and then you can just move in and out, and that will scale the model. So that is navigating in ZBrush. It takes some time getting used to, but once you do, it's pretty convenient just to use the Alt key or the Command key along with left clicking or just clicking on the tablet. The next thing you want to do is just sculpt on the model. So left click, or if you're using a tablet, just start drawing on the tablet, and you're going to create some initial sculptural forms, which is basically pulling out on that sphere. As you're doing this, try using your navigating capabilities that I just mentioned. So I'm rotating around the sphere, I'm drawing on the sphere, and it's basically pulling out the polygons on the sphere. And the polygons are the small, looks like faceting, but they're small squares, or if you stretch them out far enough, rectangles, that allow you to shape and change the form of the sphere itself. You can make your brush bigger or smaller by hitting the bracket keys. So right bracket makes it bigger, left bracket makes it smaller. And you can also smooth out your model by hitting shift. So if I hit shift, it will take those portions of the model that have been pushed out and it will smooth them out. Now, if you ever, for any reason, lose your model, you can't see it, and you don't know what happened to it, hit F, and that's going to center the model in the screen. So that will bring it back. The thing to remember about this particular model that we were able to create by clicking on that sphere icon in the project window is basically it's a bunch of presets that have been configured for you already. So if you look, I have what appears to be two cursors. I have two big circles on the right with a little pixel-sized dot, and that is reflected on the left with another pixel-sized dot. So we have symmetry, so when I sculpt on the right side, it's going to produce the same result on the left side. You can toggle that, you can turn it off and on by hitting X. So if you hit X, it goes away, and now I'm only sculpting on one side. And I'm going to undo that by hitting Control Z a couple times. And then I'll hit X again to bring back my symmetry. The other thing you want to look for as you're working are these areas of the interface that are highlighted. Most likely your highlighting will be an orange color. And if you look here on the top row, I see a couple things that are highlighted. So this one button that says edit, that's highlighted, and the button next to it that says draw, that's highlighted as well. Now if you're working and for whatever reason maybe you accidentally hit the T key on the keyboard, well, what that T key is a shortcut for is this edit button. So you'll see that the highlighting goes away when I hit T. It's no longer highlighted. That means I can no longer edit the model. And what will happen is I'll enter a painting mode in Zbrush where I'm just painting the sculpture that I've been working on repeatedly. This will confuse a lot of people at first. So the way to get out of it is just hit the T key again and then clear the screen by hitting Control N. And then your model may be off center, so hit F to bring it into center, and you'll be back to where you were before. So that can be something that will confuse a beginner. They'll accidentally hit the T key, they'll start creating multiple models on the screen, and that can be a little confusing. So just remember that T is the shortcut for edit, and when you start a project, that edit button is going to be clicked automatically, so you're already in edit mode. So that's important to remember. Now you can try to experiment with some new brushes by going to the upper left hand corner in the big first icon. It says standard underneath. Well, the default brush that you're working on is the standard brush, but you can experiment with other brushes by clicking on that, and you'll open up this brush window. I have a lot of brushes here. You'll have less, but you can pick on any of these brushes. I'll pick on Clay Tube, for example, and now I'm sculpting with a different brush. As you sculpt, you can actually push into the model as well. So you may want to do that. So to push in, you hit Alt, or you hit Command as you're drawing, and now instead of pulling out, I'm pushing in. I'm creating this indentation as I draw. you see when I hit Alt, it pushes in. Finally, you can change the intensity of the model. Up in the horizontal menu bar, you'll see a function called Z intensity. You see I have it highlighted here. So if you decrease it, it's going to limit the amount of polygons that are being pushed out. And if you increase it, it's going to intensify. So it's going to really push those polygons out further. So that's something else to be aware of. It's called Z intensity, and it just increases or decreases the intensity of the brush that you're using. Finally, if you want to actually see the polygons, you can hit Shift F, and that basically lets you see a wireframe detail of the polygons that you're sculpting. And then the model will actually appear in color as well. So Shift F is just a quick way for you to see your model in more detail. So that's all I want to cover for now. But just remember that the comma key opens up your project window. If for any reason something is not working the way that it's expected to, you can always restart ZBrush by hitting Preferences and clicking on Init ZBrush, and then hit Yes. And give it a few seconds, but it will basically restart ZBrush and give you a fresh instance of ZBrush to work in, and then you can hit comma key, bring up that project window, and then click on a sphere and start over again. And one last thing to mention is, how do you save? Well, I can save this two different ways. I can go up into this tool sidebar, click on Save As, and that will let me save my current model. The file format is .ztl, which stands for ZTool. Or I can go into File and click on the Save As there. But going into that File menu gives me a different extension, and that's .zpr, and that's a Z project type file. The ZPR file will hold more information than the ZTL, but either way, you want to choose one of those file formats to save. And I will explain in another video the differences, but just remember that there's two options for you to save: .ztl and .zpr. And that should do it for now. If you have any questions, please leave a comment on my YouTube channel.